Officially, there are three main sides to this conflict: Russia, South Ossetia, and Georgia. But some people would tell you that there is one more invisible party to this recent flare-up of violence, which is the United States. Some Russian officials have been suggesting that Washington carries at least part of the blame for what is happening in South Ossetia, because it has been providing Tbilisi with military assistance as well as with training for its troops. And to talk more about the U.S. participation in this conflict as well as U.S. policies in the region, I'm now joined by Joe Mestas. He is a U.S. citizen from Florida who happened to be vacationing with his family in this region when the situation went into the spiral. Well, Joe, you told me before that your wife, who is originally from South Ossetia, and your 5-year-old daughter happened to be in South Ossetia on the same very day when Georgia launched its military offensive on this republic. What thoughts were coming through your mind when you heard about that?
Well, yeah, my wife said that she would be safe in Java. I wanted her to leave, and she said nothing's going to happen in Java. And then the next morning, after heavy artillery fire, I get a call from my wife, and she said that the Georgian airplane, the fighter plane, has bombed Java, and this happened like about 200 meters away from her parents' home.
And so, what did she do next?
Well, she grabbed my daughter, and her parents said, take some of the neighbors' kids and get out of here. So they hopped in the car and they left. And she called me on the way and told me, and they were terrified. And when my daughter sees an airplane now, she's afraid. She said the airplanes are coming again, and I'm very thankful that they got out with their lives. After my wife came out, I met them at the border, and after she got to this side of the border, she wanted me to get into a taxi with the kids and go back to Vladikavkaz, and she turned around and she went back to Java to get her parents.
So she's now staying in Java.
She brought them back, and she's here with her parents.
Well, now, Joe, you told me before that you've been in this region many times. You know about all these simmering tensions between Georgia and South Ossetia. They've been simmering for some years now. But have you ever thought that these could escalate into such violence with so many casualties and with so much destruction on both sides?
No, I didn't. In fact, I thought that since the United States has been supporting Georgia, that there would be some control over the situation, and that it would be a peaceful resolution. And but what's happened there is not just the war; it's war crimes. George Bush and Saakashvili should answer to the crimes that are being committed. The killing of innocent people, and the running over of graves, and running over with tanks of women and children, and throwing grenades into the cellars to kill innocent people. That's not. War is supposed to be military against military. Georgians are killing innocent civilians. They're committing genocide.
Well, now you mentioned Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili, who has already called on the United States to intervene. As an American citizen, do you want Washington to step in?
I urge every American who may be watching this broadcast right now to call their senators, their congressmen, the White House, and tell George Bush, get out. America does not need to intervene in this war. America needs to stop supporting Georgia. What Saakashvili is doing is no better than what Saddam Hussein did. And if George Bush is supporting that, like he's supporting Georgia, he's no better than Saddam Hussein.
And now, very quickly, do you have any friends and relatives still trapped in South Ossetia?
We got a call this morning that from my wife's cousin that her husband was killed the day before yesterday by tank. My wife's aunt is stuck in Tshinvali, and the problem there is not only the war, but that Georgia has cut off the water supply a month ago, so the people have been without water. and the Georgian tanks are running over graves, and this is more horrific than anything that has occurred since Hitler annihilated the Jews in Germany.
Well, we very much hope that your relatives escape South Ossetia unharmed. It was Joe Mestas, an American citizen from South Ossetia, whose wife and child, a daughter, a 5-year-old daughter, happened to be in South Ossetia on the same very day when Georgia launched its military offensive on this region.